Yippee. So this tells me I am live to a few platforms. A few platforms today. Tell the truth. Speak your truth. Speak up. Find your voice. Tell your story. Make an impact. Those are all fabulous and beautiful admonitions, and we hear them all the time. We find your passion, live your passion, be your passion, make money with your passion. We hear all that stuff all the time. And if you're online much, you hear it more than all the time. We're just absolutely saturated with it. And those that aren't saying that are often saying, here, let me show you how to do that, or let me help you with the tools to do that. Facebook ads, YouTube videos, all the different ways to do it. But let's back way up. Before we worry about the tools to make it happen, like ads and landing pages and funnels and all the rest, and before we start saying, okay, you can just use your life experience to make a lot of money and make a difference, let's back up and just ask the question, what is your truth? You hear a lot, speak your truth, and that's a big message these days. And in the days of anti-bullying, which is good, anti-stereotyping, which is good, getting rid of old endemic prejudice in any form, race and sexual identity and gender and all the different ways we put people in boxes, getting rid of that's all good. What does it mean to speak your truth? Well, often I'm going to make a suggestion. I'm not going to tell you the answer because then somebody's going to disagree, and that isn't the point. The point is your truth, your idea, your belief, your thoughts. Sometimes people use speak your truth just to mean, yes, say whatever's on your mind, whenever it is, don't be silent, just speak up. Well, it might mean that, and that might be really important. But I want to get to something deeper because I think we're missing the big important part here. The big important part is to figure out what is your truth. Like, do you have something you truly believe in? Now, for a long time, I wouldn't have known how to answer that question. I know now. My goal for 2022, this year, is to help you and 10 million people just like you to discover your divine gifts, to develop them, to serve others, everyone around you with them, to be a light in the world, to add love and joy to the world, and yes, to learn to make money or to create prosperity with that gift. Now, you have a job. I've had lots of jobs. I don't have a job anymore. I have a life. And you know what? We seem to separate this thing of job. And there are so many people that say, I hate my job. I hate my boss. I hate this, that, and the other. I'd rather be something. I'd rather be sailing. I'd rather be fishing. And we have this idea that I either have to be playing, which is doing something completely self-indulgent, skiing, fishing, watching TV, or I have to be working, that's this negative thing. And I have to work for the weekend and I make some money and then I go do what I want to do. That is totally backwards, upside down, and wrong. Now hear me. I know you've heard this before, but can you imagine really in your heart a universe, a world where you get to do the things you love, the things that are creative and that are beautiful, and with those things, you get to make a difference in the world. In other words, it has meaning, it helps somebody, and you get paid for it. That's not mythology. It's real, and it's true, and I'll tell you why it makes more sense than anything like we do now, and here's why. The way we work this now is we get a job in some company doing somebody else's vision, building their products and services. Now, once in a while, you end up with the opportunity to get a job in a company or process that is really aligned with a value or a passion or a work that you have that's really doing something good that you can get all the way behind. That's fabulous, that's incredible, and it's beautiful, and you should take that job and do it for all you're worth. But it's also rare. It also doesn't happen very often because by far the majority of people, when they're surveyed, they don't like the job that they have. They do it because they have to and they need to make some money to eat. So imagine with me for a minute, and I didn't used to understand this, but I get to live like that now. I don't do anything anymore I don't want to do. And that was something that was so out of my understanding before that I believed it wasn't possible. I was in the mode of find a job you can at least tolerate, do a good job, work hard, maybe you'll get up in the company, get some promotion, supervisor, manager, director, whatever. And something you can do pretty good, and then you'll have enough money to have a family if you want to, take some vacations if you want to, and those were separate things. What I have finally learned is you can live by doing what you love. Now, let me give you an example. I did not used to know, is that even English? I don't know. I didn't know I loved to write. In fact, in my executive and other career, I didn't think I liked writing. When I had to write papers and things, I didn't look forward to it. I didn't like it. I didn't really want to do it. I put it off. I always seemed to do good at it. It was okay, and people liked them, and it turned out well. I wrote technical papers and things in the energy industry I was in, but I didn't enjoy it, and I was afraid of it, and I hated it and put it off. Since I left that whole mess 14 years ago now, I've written 16 books, and I'm excited this coming Saturday, day after tomorrow, to start book number 17. And I have 6 or 7 more already outlined and in the pipeline that'll come out in the next 2 years. So 3 a year for at least the next 2 or 3 years, and that's like 8 or 9. How did that happen? Well, I discovered I not only love writing, but I have a talent for it. I write well. People understand when I write. They get excited. They say nice things. They write nice things, and they give me good feedback, and it makes a difference. So suddenly I find myself, wow, I can do something I love. It makes a difference to people, and I get paid. Oh, what else can I do? Well, it turns out I like talking to you. I like encouraging you. I like being in the people encouragement business. That's what coaching is, right? People misunderstand what coaching is. They think it's teaching. Like if I show you how to do something, I'm coaching. Not true. Coaching is a special skill. Coaching is being in the people encouragement business, the anxiety annihilation business, the blind spot protection service, a bunch of descriptive terms that have nothing to do with teaching a particular skill, like how to do audio sweetening when you do video, right? Now, I own a recording studio, and I have for 40 years, and it's over there. And I do music. I've done 2 albums in the last 3 years, and I have one I'm halfway done with right now. So I do that and love it. And you know what? I sell the music, and it makes money. I sell the books, and they make money. But more importantly than the money is I love writing because the things I write about matter. So the idea that I started with is, what is your truth? So if you had a stadium, and I want you to think of your initials. Now, my initials are KF, right? Kellan Flukiger. So imagine what your initials are, and you raised a flag. Up goes a flag, and your initials are on it. And that stadium where that flag, where your flag is, holds 100,000 people, right? And 100,000 people come to your stadium because they know what that flag, what those initials stand for, right? And you had a microphone right there, and I'm giving you the mic, and you're standing there on stage alone in front of 100,000 people who came to hear you. What would you tell them? What is your truth? You have 2 minutes, 120 seconds. That's about 250 words. We talk about 120 to 130 words a minute. What is the thing you believe so passionately and so powerfully that you would speak to these 100,000 people that came to hear you? I don't know what yours is, but do you? That is the question. What is your truth? So my goal, my commitment, my mad, crazy work on an assignment for this year, for me, I gave it to myself, is I'm going to help 100,000 people discover, develop, and learn to serve with their divine gifts. And those that want to learn how to turn it into money, I can help with that too. So that means you can discover the gifts you have, the things you love to do, the things you do well. You can serve others with them. You can get paid to do it. Now, let's go back to the question, what is your truth? We live in a world right now where canceling is all the rage. If someone does something that's unpopular, why then we ignore them, unfriend them. It didn't even used to be a word, right? Tell Facebook. Unfriend them, kick them out, harass them in restaurants and public, and we do all kinds of crazy things that are really unkind and uncool. Hassling somebody in public is not any more acceptable than whoever slapped that other guy the other night at the awards show. Totally unacceptable behavior, but so is hassling somebody in a restaurant. So is trying to shout someone down in any venue. What are you willing to work to create, not destroy? What are you willing to spend your time, attention, and love to create? So I have a friend that works on literacy. I have someone else I know that works on hunger. I have someone else I know that's working on this rebuilding of Ukraine already and has had conversations about, okay, how do we go over there when the war's finally over and start in the rebuilding process? How is that going to happen? What do we need to do? What needs to get organized? We have people all over the world that suddenly decided their truth is to help refugees and open their homes and give people, love and kindness and attention and comfort and food and shelter. Yay. My wife, Joy, and her name is Joy, and I love it. She is my joy, my song, my balance, the light in my heart. She really is. She's Ukrainian, and so this has been up close and personal for us for this whole month. Her dad was born in Odessa. And so every minute of this that goes by is on the television upstairs, one or another of the news channels. CBC, we watch a lot in Canada, some CNN in the U.S., and some others too. But the question is, what is important to you, and are you actively engaged in it? So it's one thing to say, I support Ukraine. It's another thing to give $1,000 or some other amount of money to some charity to do something. Or one of the fun things that my wife discovered to do for that particular thing, her truth, was she rented some Airbnbs. Now, that was all the rage for a minute, right? Airbnbs in these cities that were being bombed that, of course, no one would go to. So she rented some apartments in some of those cities, sent the money to the people and said, we're not coming, but just so you can have some dough to buy some food and stuff. And she got answers. People answered her and just were grateful and created personal connection. And that was the application of a truth that had an immediate result and an immediate benefit. And she had bought a T-shirt and some other stuff from somebody in Ukraine on Etsy, which is a creative platform, kind of like eBay. She'd bought something from one of those a little while ago, months or a year ago or something. And she went back to that store and some others and bought some more stuff. It was digital now, digital downloads, patterns and stuff like that, because, of course, they can't do any shipping because cities are a mess. So that is an action that she did immediately to speak her truth. So my question for me and for you is, the idea of speaking your truth is good, it is important, and we first need to identify what we truly are standing behind. What are we willing to do to create that thing in the world? Equity, lack of prejudice, racial equality, literacy, lack of starvation, adequate food, water, education. What is it? For me, something I love to do is to help people discover and learn to trust their spiritual connection. The idea that the divine can guide all of us and is anxious and willing to do that. I know I experienced that, and I've helped clients in my coaching practice to do it. And you might think, that's a bunch of woo-woo crap. Who cares about that? I need some money. The answer is, it makes money. And you say, how does that make money? You can't sell that. Yeah, you can, and I'll tell you why. As I have cultivated, and this has been a process, as I have cultivated intuition and my ability to hear direction and stuff like that, I make way less mistakes. I do the right things. I call the right people. The connections fall into place, and that results in more business, more connections, more position. For example, I have 9 speaking opportunities already lined up in this year. A month or 2 months ago, I didn't have any. And I thought, okay, we're kind of coming out of this COVID mess. We got to go do something. Because I used to speak a lot before COVID, and now I want to go do that again. I started working on it and sending out messages and just following the guidance. Now I have 9 that are going to be this year. Now, I wouldn't have imagined it would have been that successful. I have 1 book coming out in about 2 weeks. The foreword is being written for it right now by a client that I dearly love. I have another one that I'm starting next week. That's number 17. And I have at least 1 more that I'm going to work on this year. So that is another way that my truth is not just written, but being published. I have a podcast that started accidentally. At the beginning of the pandemic, somebody called my beautiful wife, Joy, and said to her, does Kellan have a podcast? Because they knew I did speaking and lockdowns were just starting and all that. And we didn't have one, but she said, yes. Bless her heart. And she came down and said, we have a podcast. So I started one in April of 2020. And I decided if I was going to do it, it was going to be a daily podcast. So I just recorded episode 648. And I have 2 I have to do today. So that'll be 649 and 650. So that is speaking my truth, encouragement, capability, possibility, how to develop your skills, how to market them, how to monetize them, not in some kind of sleazy selling thing, but how to truly find the people who need your truth. I had a class earlier today about writing books. And I was working with 2 guys who are working on writing books. You know what you're doing when you write a book? You're identifying, organizing, and speaking your truth. Coming right out of your life experience, right out of your heart, right out of those things that you've learned the hard way, and we've all done plenty of that. We need to identify, organize, and then speak. Whether it's a book and a monologue that we write, or it's a series of videos, or it's a podcast, or it's a product, speaking your truth. You have to do it. We need it. I need it. I want your truth. But you need to know what it is, and you don't find that by complaining. You don't find that by blaming. You find it by seeking, by working, and by being willing to love and serve. As a final thought today, my most important words that guide my life every day are 3 words: love, create, and serve. And I have found that living by those words creates all the money and business I need. I learned to love people just as they are, right in this moment, here, now. Not if they do this or change that way. That was something I experienced so much as a kid, and it wrecked a bunch of years of my life, depression and sadness. So love freely. Create space for imagination to blossom and creativity to explode, not just mine, but every person I talk to and work with. And I'm encouraging you to do that too. And then choose to serve people in their highest and best interest. I had to make a little audio the other day because I have a gal that gets me on podcasts, and I've been on like 150 of them in the last 6 months. And the thing she needed for this particular pitch was a definition of love. And I was grateful because I have a definition of love. Love is not a feeling. Love is a verb. It is a choice, and it is a choice that you make or I make, that we make to serve, to use our physical, our spiritual, our emotional, and our mental resources to serve someone in their best interest. If we do that, then we are loving that person. So I say to my clients all the time, I love you, and I mean it with all my heart because I'm giving them everything that I've got, every spiritual thought, every encouragement, every idea, every piece of help that I can possibly give them because I love them. And so I love you too, whoever you are watching this, because if I have the opportunity, I will serve you. I encourage you to find your truth. What things do you feel passionately about that are important, that you're willing to create for and serve with? Do it. Start now. Never stop until you draw your last breath. And I know doing that, you'll create what I call the ultimate life. That's the name of the podcast. If you want to listen to it, it's called Your Ultimate Life, creating a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy by serving with your divine gifts. All right. Thank you very much for watching and being with me today. We'll see you on the next time I get to be with you here live on these platforms. We'll see ya.